Your phone rings, unknown number. You hesitate for half a second. And in that half second, something dangerous is already happening. On the other end of that call, there is no person. There is a machine that has already dialed 150 million other people today. A machine that knows your name, your city, sometimes even your bank. And here is the part nobody is talking about. Your Android phone already has the power to stop it cold, automatically, silently, before it ever reaches you. But most people have never turned it on. Today, that changes. Let's start with something that should genuinely disturb you. In 2025 alone, Americans received 52.5 billion robocalls over the course of a single year. Not million, billion. That breaks down to roughly 140 million automated calls every single day, every single hour, every single minute. Someone's phone is ringing with a number that wants nothing but to deceive them, drain them, or manipulate them. And the people behind these calls, they are not sitting in some dark room manually dialing numbers. They are running AI-powered systems that operate at a scale that the human mind genuinely struggles to comprehend. According to the latest data from YouMail, one of the largest robocall monitoring networks in the country, scam and telemarketing calls surged by more than 20% year over year in 2025. Think about what that means. Despite laws, despite government crackdowns, despite the FCC shutting down over 1 out of 200 non-compliant phone companies in August of 2025 alone, the calls kept coming, and they got worse. But here is where it gets personal. The Truecaller report revealed that 56.2 million people lost a combined total of $25.4 billion to scam calls in a single year. That is not an abstract number. That is an average loss of $450 per victim per incident. And in the first half of 2025, the average loss from a scam robocall climbed even higher to $3,690 per person. One phone call, one moment of hesitation, one convincing voice claiming to be from your bank, the IRS, a delivery company, or a government office. And just like that, thousands of dollars are gone. This is not a minor inconvenience. This is one of the most effective and scalable criminal enterprises on the planet, and it is operating directly through the device sitting in your pocket right now. And this is where everything changes, because your Android phone is not defenseless, not even close. Most people are walking around with an arsenal of spam blocking technology already built into their devices, and they have never once activated it. The tools exist. The protection is ready, but it is sitting there, dormant, while scammers dial your number for the 12th time this month. What most people are not seeing is that Android has quietly built one of the most sophisticated anti-spam systems in the mobile world, and it works in layers, each one more powerful than the last. Understanding those layers is the difference between a phone that never stops ringing with garbage calls and a phone that filters threats before they even make a sound. Let's start from the foundation. Every Android phone running Android 12 or higher, and according to Google's own figures that now covers the overwhelming majority of active Android devices globally, comes preloaded with Google's Caller ID and spam protection system built directly into the phone app. This is not a separate download. This is not a premium feature. It is sitting there in your default dialer waiting to be switched on. Here is how you find it. Open your phone app, tap the three dots in the top right corner, go to Settings, and then look for the option labeled Caller ID and Spam. Inside that menu, you will find two critical toggles. See Caller ID and Spam and Filter Spam Calls. The first one makes your phone warn you when an incoming call is likely spam. The second one is the one that matters most. It instructs your phone to automatically intercept suspected spam calls and reroute them before your phone even rings. You never hear them. They never interrupt you. But they are captured in your call history if you want to review them. That single toggle, according to Google, is on by default for most devices, but millions of users have accidentally disabled it or are running phones where it was never activated properly during setup. But here's where it gets more interesting. The Google spam detection system does not just rely on a static list of known bad numbers. It cross-references incoming calls against a continuously updated database fed by billions of call reports from Android users around the world. Every time someone reports a number as spam on their Android device, that information feeds back into Google's system, which then uses it to protect every other Android user in real time. This is crowdsourced intelligence at a planetary scale, and it is working quietly behind the scenes of your phone every single moment. According to informed sources within the Android security ecosystem, this database is one of the largest call threat intelligence systems ever built for a consumer device. And it is running on your phone for free. Now, if you are a Samsung Galaxy user, which as of 2025 means you're using one of the best-selling Android phones on Earth, your spam protection goes even further. Samsung has integrated its own layer called Smart Call, powered by a partnership with Hia, one of the world's leading spam intelligence platforms. To activate it, open your phone app, tap the three dots, go to Settings, and select Caller ID and Spam Protection. toggle the master switch at the top. Then, inside that menu, you will find a further option specifically for blocking spam and scam calls. Samsung gives you 2 levels of control here. You can choose to block all spam and scam calls outright, or select the option to block only high-risk scam calls, allowing lower-level telemarketing to come through but stopping the truly dangerous ones dead. And if you are running Android 16 with One UI 8.5 or higher on a newer Galaxy device, there is an additional feature called AI scam detection that goes even further still. It analyzes calls in real time using on-device artificial intelligence, detects behavioral patterns associated with fraudulent conversations, and alerts you mid-call with a tone or vibration if it believes the person on the other end is attempting to scam you. That is not a future feature. That is available right now on supported Galaxy devices. Read that again. AI detecting a scam attempt in real time while the call is happening. The technology has advanced to a level where your phone is not just screening calls before they reach you. It is actively monitoring live conversations for threat patterns. This is not science fiction. This is what your Android device is already capable of in 2026, and most people have no idea it exists. Now, let's talk about the feature that Pixel phone owners have access to that is genuinely unlike anything else in the consumer market. Google's call screen feature, available on Pixel devices, uses an AI assistant to actually answer your incoming calls before you do. When an unknown number calls, instead of your phone ringing normally, Google's AI picks up, introduces itself as a screening system, and asks the caller to state their name and the reason for calling. The entire conversation is transcribed in real time on your screen. You watch the text appear, decide whether the caller is legitimate or a waste of your time, and then choose whether to accept the call, decline it, or report it as spam, all without ever speaking a word yourself. Spam robocalls almost universally hang up immediately when they encounter this screen. They are not designed to interact with a secondary system. They are designed to reach a human who hesitates, and when they do not get one, they move on. Think about what that means for your daily experience. Your phone could be functioning as an invisible gatekeeper, filtering every incoming call through an AI layer before a single ring disturbs you. But there's another layer of protection that almost nobody uses, and it is the simplest one of all. Inside your Android settings, there is an option to silence calls from unknown numbers entirely. This does not block them. They still go to voicemail, and you can still see them in your missed call log, but they never ring your phone, not once. People who matter to you are already in your contacts. The delivery driver, your doctor's callback line, your child's school, you can add those in advance. But the random rotated number that a scammer is using today and will discard tomorrow, it reaches voicemail in silence, and you never know it tried to reach you. This single setting, which takes approximately 15 seconds to enable, eliminates the vast majority of the disruption that spam calls cause in daily life. Now here is where the real story gets layered, because the built-in tools on your device are only one part of the protection system available to Android users. What most people are not seeing is that there is a second tier of defense, carrier-level blocking, that operates entirely at the network level, before a call ever even reaches your phone's hardware. T-Mobile's Scam Shield, for example, is a free feature built into every T-Mobile customer's account that updates its threat intelligence every 6 minutes. Not 6 hours, 6 minutes. AT&T offers a similar service through its Call Protect platform. Verizon has its own call filter system. These carrier tools operate upstream from your device, flagging calls as scam likely, or sending them to voicemail before your phone ever receives the signal to ring. The catch? Most people have never activated these features through their carrier apps, even though they are free. Carriers are not legally required to enable these protections automatically, and many do not. According to the PRG report published in late 2025, only 44% of phone companies in the United States had fully installed the mandated robocall fighting software, down from 47% the year before. The protection exists, the systems are built, but they are not being deployed for you unless you specifically seek them out and turn them on. And this is where everything the mainstream tech media is not telling you becomes critically important. There is a new regulatory framework called STIR-SHAKEN, which stands for Secure Telephone Identity Revisited and Signature-Based Handling of Asserted Information. Using tokens, and it is the cryptographic backbone of modern call authentication. Under this protocol, phone carriers are required to digitally sign outgoing calls with an attestation level that confirms whether the caller ID displayed on your phone is authentic. An A attestation means the number has been verified at the highest level of trust. A B or C attestation means the carrier could not fully verify the originating number. According to data from 2025, top-tier carriers are now assigning A attestations to between 80 and 100% of their outgoing calls. But here is the problem that the industry is not loudly advertising. For smaller non-tier 1 carriers, that percentage drops to roughly 20%. Scammers have already figured this out, and they are deliberately routing their calls through smaller carrier networks that have gaps in the steer-shaken implementation, allowing them to spoof numbers and slip past verification filters. The system is working, but it is not working completely, and that gap is exactly where the third tier of your defense strategy becomes essential. Third-party spam blocking applications have evolved dramatically in the past 2 years, and the best ones are no longer simple block lists. They are AI-powered, real-time threat intelligence platforms. Truecaller, the Swedish-built app that now serves over 400 million users globally, maintains what is arguably the most comprehensive crowdsourced caller identification database in the world. When an unknown number calls you, Truecaller cross-references it against billions of community reports from users across every continent, delivers a real-time caller identity if one exists, and flags the call as spam, telemarketer, or fraud before you even see who is calling. According to its own figures, Truecaller has blocked over 25 billion robocalls for its user base. The free version provides caller ID and basic spam detection. The premium tier, which costs approximately $4.49 per month, removes advertising and adds advanced automatic blocking features. But be aware, Truecaller's system works in part by uploading your contact list to its servers to build that global database, and that is a privacy trade-off you should consciously evaluate before installing it. If privacy is a priority for you, Hiya presents a compelling alternative. Hiya uses a curated carrier-grade database rather than a crowdsourced contact upload system, which means it identifies known spam numbers without needing access to your personal contacts. It is already embedded in the spam labeling systems of major carriers and in Samsung's Smart Call feature. Its standalone app is free, with a premium tier at $3.99 per month that unlocks automatic blocking. Hiya was also notably the first spam blocking application to deploy AI voice detection, specifically targeting AI-generated scam calls, the synthetic voice deepfakes that are becoming an increasingly terrifying feature of the modern spam landscape. According to recent statistics, AI impersonation scams using deepfake voices increased by 148% in 2025, with losses in the hundreds of millions of dollars. Hiya's AI voice detection is a direct countermeasure to that specific threat, and it is already deployed for users right now. Then there is RoboKiller, which takes an approach that is entirely its own. RoboKiller does not just block spam calls, it fights back. When a spam call reaches the app, instead of silently rejecting it, RoboKiller deploys what it calls answer bots, pre-recorded AI characters specifically designed to engage scammers in fake conversations that go nowhere, waste their time, and consume the resources they would otherwise use to scam someone else. The app claims to block 99% of spam calls and texts, backed by a database of over 1 billion known threats in audio fingerprinting technology that identifies calls by their sonic signature rather than just their number. At $4.99 per month, it is the most entertaining spam protection available. And for Android users who whitelist their important contacts in advance, it is genuinely one of the most aggressive blocking systems money can buy. The one caution here is that its aggressiveness comes with a trade-off. It draws more block-to-real call complaints than Hiya or the native Google system. So setting up an allow list of your doctor's office, your child's school, and your pharmacy before activating full blocking mode is not optional. It is necessary. What most people are not seeing is that the most effective spam protection strategy in 2026 is not a single app or a single setting. It is a layered system, and each layer fills the gaps left by the others. Start with your phone's built-in Google Caller ID and spam system. Ensure Filter Spam Calls is enabled. If you have a Samsung, activate Smart Call, and if your device supports it, enable AI scam detection. Enable silence for unknown callers in your system settings if you want the most aggressive native protection possible. Then activate your carrier's free spam protection. Check T-Mobile's Scam Shield through the T-Life app, AT&T's Call Protect through the My AT&T app, or Verizon's Call Filter through its own platform. Once those layers are active, evaluate whether your specific situation, the volume of spam you receive, your privacy comfort level, and whether you take international calls regularly, warrants adding a third-party app. If it does, Hiya is the cleanest starting point for most users. Truecaller is the most powerful if you need global caller identification and are comfortable with its data practices. RoboKiller is the most satisfying if you want to go on offense. But here is the layer of this story that goes beyond settings and apps. According to informed sources tracking the evolution of spam call tactics, 2025 was the year that AI fundamentally tipped the advantage towards scammers in new and deeply concerning ways. Agentic AI, systems capable of real-time reasoning, demographic targeting, and adaptive conversation, began powering spam calls that no longer sound like recordings. They sound like people. They adapt to your responses. They know what season it is, what major news story is trending, and what emotional vulnerability might make you more likely to engage. A call during tax season. Impersonating the IRS sounds different from a call during open enrollment season impersonating your insurance provider. And these systems can cycle through hundreds of caller IDs per hour, making database-based blocking harder to keep current. According to one analysis of AI-generated phishing campaigns, there was a 1,265% increase in detected AI-generated threats in 2024 and 2025 combined. This is not an incremental escalation. This is a category shift. And this is why no single solution, no matter how sophisticated, is permanently sufficient. The systems you activate today will be tested by threats tomorrow that did not exist yesterday. What matters is not just having protection enabled, but understanding why the protection works the way it does, so that when you encounter something that slips through, you know what to do. Report it. Block it through your phone app by going into your recent calls, tapping the number, and selecting Block or Report Spam. Every report you file feeds back into Google's collective intelligence database and makes the system smarter for every Android user on the planet. This is the part of spam protection that feels small and personal but operates at a truly massive scale. Your one report, combined with thousands of others about the same number, triggers a network-wide block that could prevent the next person from losing $3,190 to a voice that sounded just real enough to be believed. They know your name because it isn't a data breach. They know your bank because they have cross-referenced your phone number with leaked financial records available on dark web markets where, according to current estimates, over 1.7 billion stolen credentials now circulate. When someone calls and addresses you by your first name, knows the name of your bank, and references a transaction you actually made, that is not luck. That is targeted intelligence. And it is designed to get past the psychological defenses that you think will protect you. The best counter is to never engage, never confirm, and always hang up and call back through an official number you find independently. Your bank will never penalize you for verifying independently. Scammers depend on you not doing that. Which brings us to the question that no one in this space is willing to answer definitively. Is spam calling getting better or worse? The data says both things simultaneously, which is exactly as uncomfortable as it sounds. The overall volume of robocalls in the United States declined by less than 1% in 2025 compared to 2024. Essentially flat, despite everything. But within that flat total, the composition shifted dramatically. Legitimate notifications and payment reminders dropped by 13 to 20%. Unwanted telemarketing and scam calls surged by 15.4% and now make up for 57% of all robocalls, up from 49% the previous year. The pie is the same size. But the dangerous slice is growing. And globally, Hiya flagged 13.7 billion suspected spam calls in just the second quarter of 2025 alone. That is 150 million calls every single day, worldwide, every day, all day, without stopping. The infrastructure that protects you needs to be not just active, but continuously updated, because the threat it faces never rests. Your Android phone right now has the architecture to fight this battle on your behalf. The question was never whether the tools exist. The question is whether you have turned them on, layered them correctly, and understood what each one does and why. Most people have not. And that gap between what their phone is capable of and what it is actually doing is exactly the gap that cost people 452s, 3,290, and sometimes their entire life savings. In a single unguarded moment when an unknown number rings and a voice on the other end says, convincingly, that there is a problem with your account and you need to act right now. You now know what most people don't. The systems are real. The layers are real. The threats are real. The only thing left is the action you take today on the device already in your hand. Activate the filters. Enable the silence. Report what gets through. And understand that this is not a problem you solve once. It is a system you maintain, because on the other side of every call you never hear again, there is a machine that is already dialing someone else, trying to find the one person who is not protected. Make sure that person is not you. But ask yourself this. If 52.5 billion robocalls reached Americans in 2025, despite the technology, the laws, and the enforcement, what does 2026 look like when AI voice cloning becomes cheap enough for any scammer to use? What happens when the voice on the other end does not just know your name and your bank, but sounds exactly like your daughter calling from an unfamiliar number? The tools to stop that are being built right now. But so is the threat. And the only question that really matters is which one is moving faster